Neil today, regular on the fan chat for another lockdown special. It's episode 2 of our Ultimate Notts County starting 11, so hopefully it's a bit different from Jordan's. Neil, have you got any criteria that you've had to pick your players?
Yeah, basically, this is my 50th year watching Notts, so I thought, where do I start? So I thought my earliest memories are probably that I can genuinely think of at 1975 onwards, and from that, then I thought, okay, I need to choose sort of a minimum of players who've had a minimum of 100 appearances for the club. So there'll be some modern players that probably have missed out that ordinarily might get in. I'm thinking sort of Ben Davies, Bielkowski, Steve Finnan, people like that. Even Jeff Hughes, for some people who might remember him, Jonathan Fort. All these sorts of players. Sean Derrick. So they missed out, but only on the basis that I made it a minimum 100 appearances.
What formation have you gone for?
3-5-2.
Solid.
Interesting, yeah.
Before we kick this one off, obviously you just said there that you've watched Notts now for 50 years. Do you think it would be easier to do your best 11 or your worst 11?
Mate, I've picked my best 11 here. The worst 11.
Which one do you think could be easier though? It's tough, isn't it? Over 50 years.
The worst 11 would be harder. There'd be too many.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, we can do a worst 11 next week, but you'll have to give me a week to bloody... but I think... I don't know, is that denigrating people necessarily?
Yeah, we'll keep it to the best 11, so we'll kick it off with your goalkeeper.
Right, Notts have been blessed with very good goalkeepers during the whole time I've watched, and it's amazing because there's actually 4 of them that are in contention. And what I did was define it by, and this is very loose maths, but who kept the highest percentage of clean sheets over 4 seasons. And one that came out, I mean, there was people like Radi Avramovic, who came from Yugoslavia, who Jimmy Cyril signed, Steve Cherry, Darren Ward, but the one I've chosen is from the early 70s. Probably a lot of people might not remember him. Was a chap called Eric McManus, and he's a Northern Irish international who was at Stoke. He went on to play for Coventry, but he's possibly, I think, out of all those 3, is the best all-round keeper. Excellent shot stopper, great coming off his line to catch stuff, brave beyond belief. I mean, I saw him once dislocate his thumb. Jack Wheeler ran on, put his thumb back in place and ran off, and he just continued it. And he used to have his sleeves rolled up, play with bare hands, but he was a very, very good goalkeeper. And he came out with 29% of clean sheets over his career at Notts.
Yeah, that's not bad.
It's pretty good going, yeah.
It's pretty good, yeah. It was pretty close because it was 27, a couple of 23. So we've had some very good goalkeepers.
Yeah, definitely, yeah, especially just in my time, sort of the last 20 years. But we'll go on to your back 3. So we'll kick off with the right sort of centre back.
Oh, this was very hard because I wanted a partnership, and most people automatically might think of Dean Yates and Chris Short, and between them, I think they played something like 180 games, something like that, 200 games, and they were excellent. They were very, very good centre halves. However, I've chosen again from the 70s because these 2 guys played at Notts for 9 years. They played nearly 900 games, mostly together. A lot of them they played together. They partnered each other. So on the right, I'd have Brian Stubbs. And on the left, I'd have Dave Needham. Now, they average, and again, this is loose maths, but between Yates, Short, Needham, Stubbs, they all conceded, on average, a goal a game. But I just think those 2, because they played together for so long at Notts, that they were there for a long, long time, played a lot of games. They played something like 398 games in 8 years.
Yeah.
So between and they were really good and they were very good players. Dave Needham and was a very cultured player, and also they carried a real threat in opposing penalty boxes. They were scoring goals. They did score goals, and they also used to scare the hell out of opposition forwards.
Yeah.
I think Les Brad refers to them in his book as referred to as the land of the giants because they were big lads. They were 6 foot, but they were decent players. They were good stoppers. Stubbs was especially.
Yeah. Your other choice for the back three?
Behind them, again I was torn because there was Pedro Richards, a sweeper, who played nearly 400 games for the club, and he was good. He was very good at what he did in reading the game. But I've gone for Michael Johnson because of his attributes. He was quick. He could read the game well, but also had an incredible leap. He was like Ian Richardson.
Yeah.
He could jump 6 foot, even though he was 5'10". He could jump he was a really good mobile, combative sweeper, and it's a very good reading of the game as well. So yeah, they're my three at the back.
Solid.
Did we have his son playing a few years back?
Sorry?
Or wasn't Richard's son playing a few years back or not? Or was that someone else?
That was someone. No, it must have been someone else.
Right, we'll go to midfield then. So you've got midfield 5.
Yep.
We'll go for the right.
Right hand side. This was the hardest one for me to choose. I didn't know whether to have a winger because looking back through the years, there's been people, again, some people may not remember, a chap called Steve Carter, who we got from Man City. Everybody called him Flash. Guaranteed to get you a penalty. If you got in the penalty box, guaranteed he'd get you a penalty. he went down very easily. John Chidozie, very quick. Both good crosses of the ball. Even John Nixon, who I know Les Brad talks very highly of. But in the end, I've gone for Alan Judge. Just because he was, on his day, he could roast anybody if he wanted. I mean, the others could. But Judge, I really, really rated Alan Judge. I thought he was an excellent player. And he offered just such a bag of tricks that, yeah, I'd have him on my right-hand side.
Great player, yeah. So your first central midfielder?
Don Masson. Yeah, I can't say any more about it. You know, he also had a goal. I've also, again, with my midfield, I've looked at goals ratio. He scored a goal every 4 games, and one season as a midfielder finished top scorer. I think it was in 23. Yeah, admittedly, he took all the penalties. There'd be a hell of an argument in this team over penalties. Jeez. But his range of passing, he was combative as well. Remember him having a punch up with Andy King of Everton in the centre of the pitch once in the mud. That was funny.
Who would you put next to him?
Mark Draper. Very creative. You look at the career he went on to have, Aston Villa, Leicester and then Aston Villa. On his day, he was a very composed player, very good going forward, and he was equally at home defend. He could defend as well. So yeah, Mark Draper. I was always a fan of his.
Yeah, and then your final central midfielder.
Phil Turner. Still Phil Turner in behind them. He was one of the standout players in the season we went up. We got relegated quite ignominiously. We were out of our depths probably in that league at that time. But he was a very good player for us, and I would trust him to patrol in front of that back three and stop stuff coming through. So yeah, Phil Turner.
And then completing midfield, so you Judge on the right, who's being out on the left?
Tommy Johnson. Scored a goal every 2.5 games. So I'd have him because he gives you the goal threat, and he'll get the ball into the box as well for the strikers. I mean, good God, we could have had. There were so many we could have had. I mean, there was Ian Scanlon, who again before your time back in the 70s, scored a goal every 3.5 games, and he scored a hat trick against Sheffield Wednesday and roasted was it Reaney or Madeley who played right back for Leeds in '75? But it was a cracking winger. It was great to watch.
So our midfield's got plenty of goals. You've got.
Oh yeah.
Good midfield.
Strike force then.
I think so.
Top two. Who are you going for?
This took me the longest amount of time to sort out because I've gone Les Brad and Lee Hughes, and there's obvious reasons for that, but because of the goal, Hughes has a goal every 2 games. Les Brad, brilliant at the far post, goal every 3 games, and the fact he's the leading goal scorer, I would imagine most people would choose him. But we could have had people like Danny Allsop, who ended up he played Perth Glory, I think he played for. His average, his goals per game was 1.26. Mark Stallard's 1.3. Trevor Christie, who was excellent in the 80s, and part of the side that stayed up for 3 seasons in the first division, the Premiership. His strike rate was 1 in 2. So it's really hard to choose that actually. But I've gone for Les Brad and Lee Hughes because Lee Hughes, you think about the balls coming in from Masson, Draper, Judge, and Johnson, the chances created, in this hypothetical world, it scored 50 goals in a season.
Yeah, unbelievable. I mean, they'll be scoring 7 or 8 a game this team. Right?
With Masson, Draper, Judge, and Johnson, those 4 just playing the ball between them. The other 2 just stand up top, and the ball will come to you, and you'll get your chances. And Phil Turner will just patrol along behind them. Just he'd defend everything. Phil Turner, good, very good, underrated player, I think, by some, but a very good player.
Yeah, I think probably quite a tough one, really, because you've probably seen quite a lot of managers over the years as well. Who would you have as manager?
Well, it's a team because it's the 2 who kept us in the first division for 3 seasons, and it's Howard Wilkinson and Jimmy Cyril. And I know Howard's been in the Evening Post this week, and I remember seeing Howard Wilkinson come down. I remember watching them. They were warming up against whoever at the beginning of one season. We'd never seen. I don't think we'd ever seen them warm up like this, passing the ball between each other. What? And doing normally it was. Rashid Harkouk and Brian Kilcline used to try and used to have cars that went around the outside of the pitch advertising. Harkouk and Kilcline used to try and hit the cars as they were driving round. It was they all of a sudden Howard Wilkinson comes in, and it's all of a sudden this professional approach comes in. And I'd have to choose those 2 because they kept us in the first division for 3 seasons. And if Howard hadn't gone and there'd been some investment, who knows? But that's by the by, really.
Yeah.
Cheers for joining us, Neil. Great to have a different take on the team and a lot of stats there. George knows I love stats, so goals per game and all that.
Love stats.
There's some people may disagree. Ian McCulloch, I could have chosen him up front as well, who was a big favourite of mine. There were just so many people I could have chosen, but that's how I chose it. Other people may see it differently.
That was episode 2 of people from our fan chat starting 11. That was obviously Neil. Episode 3 is going to be with Will.